In this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own Netlify clone. It'll be pretty basic. You'll just be able to upload different projects to one server, and you'll be able to view all of those projects at a URL. To get started, you'll need your own server. I like to use DigitalOcean. You could use Amazon EC2. There's a million different ways to get access to a server that's running all the time. You could even do this locally on your own server if you wanted to. But to get started, I'm just going to be covering DigitalOcean. So I'm going to get started by creating a 2004 Ubuntu instance. We're going to choose basic. We're going to choose the cheapest one for this tutorial. And then it doesn't really matter where it is. You just want to choose a place close to you so there's less latency. And other than that, you'll want to come in here and add an SSH key to your machine so that you can get into it easier. I won't cover how to create an SSH key. I'm expecting that you already know how to do that. If not, you could just Google how to create an SSH key pair. And with that, let's create it. Cool, so you'll see it's being created right now, and we've got access to the IP address. Before we connect to the server, we're just going to take a look at the code that we need to write. It's not very much, and I'm going to be using NodeJS, so let's take a look. What we're going to want to do with this Node server is to just serve all the files in a folder and also fall back to the index.html, because that's critical for static single page apps. Imagine you have a React app, it just has an index.html, and if you go to /users, for example, that needs to request the index.html. So there's just a little bit of work we need to do in here to make this all happen. So let's import the file system module and require fs. Then let's also import Express, which we will install on our server. And this is just a really easy way to create a Node server. And then we will make an app from our Express variable up above. And then let's just add a route here in case someone goes to the home page of our server, send back a hello world. Okay, with that out of the way, we just need to listen to the actual port of our choosing. I'm just going to listen to port 3000. It doesn't really matter. And then we'll console log saying server is running. Now here's the part that actually makes all of this work with our static host. We're going to need to read all the files in a directory. And to show you how this will look, let's make a folder called projects. This is where all of our projects are going to live. So let's make a new folder. Let's call it test. And we expect every one of these folders to have an index.html in them. And for right now, I'm just going to put test is being served. But this would actually represent your create React app and other static apps. So let's fs read directory. And let's take the current directory name that we're in and add projects to it so that we search through the projects directory. And then we will want to, in this callback, we have to listen for the error and the projects. Projects is just an array of all of the folders that are in that directory. So then we can say projects.forEach. And for every one of these projects, we want to register a route. So let's do that now. We'll say app.use/projects, and I'll use template literals so that we can put a variable in here easily. And then for every project, we want to just use express.static. And that would be ./projects/ the actual project that we're in. So if you're a little bit confused, all this is saying is when you go to /project, so if I go to /test in the URL, we want to serve all those static files because there may be like an index.js, some images, whatever else is in there. We just want to statically serve those at this route. Now that's basically everything we need, and the app would work. The problem is that if we went to /users, it wouldn't serve that index.html. So a way that I did this was just doing app-get /project again. And if we do /star, so /anything, so if this doesn't get matched, it will fall back to this. And so if it's something that doesn't exist as a static file, we're going to fall back to our index.html. So we'll say response.sendFile. And then we will require path just to make sure we have this path correct. And we will join the current directory name. And again, I'm using template literals here. /projects /our project /index.html. Okay, so this should be all of the code we need to make this happen. The rest will just be configuring Nginx. With our server.js basically configured and it should work exactly like we need, let's go back to our DigitalOcean admin and let's copy that IP address and SSH into this server. If you're using DigitalOcean, it's always going to be root at whatever when you first set up the server. It would be best practice to turn off root logins, create a user account and all of that, but we won't get too far into that for now. So first thing we'll want to do is run sudo apt-get update. We don't actually have to type sudo because I'm the root user. It's just a habit because I'm not usually running as the root user. Once that's done, you'll want to run the same thing but upgrade to actually update all these packages and type yes. All right, after that's done, it may take a little while, but we will want to apt-get install Nginx and hit yes. And once that's done, you should be able to copy your server's IP address, open it in a new tab, go to it, and you should see welcome to Nginx. So we're getting somewhere. Next up, you'll want to search NodeJS Ubuntu and click on this NodeJS installing via package manager link. You'll want to choose Debian and Ubuntu and then click this link. Come down here. I know it's a little bit of a pain. They actually moved these recently. Installation instructions. Okay, we'll just use Node v12 just because it's the LTS. We can copy that. And then after that, we will run this command to actually install it after we add the apt repository. With Node.js installed, now we want to edit our Nginx config. So let's do that now. We'll type vim etc nginx sites enabled, and let's just edit our default. So let's come down here, and it's just by default listening on port 80. And we can see it right down here. It's saying root is var www.html, and this location just tries to load static files. All we need to change here is we just need to remove try files, and then we need to add, I'm trying to tab in here and I suck at typing. We just need to add proxy pass, and we want a proxy pass to HTTP 0000 port 3000. And this should work, and that should be all that we need to actually get Nginx to work. So now we need to do sudo systemctl reload, or let's just do a restart Nginx. Okay, that's done. Now we should see a bad gateway error. Yep, because our server is not actually running. So now if we, right here in this directory, let's just make a new folder. Let's just call it server. It's kind of a lame name, I know, but it's really like our static host server. So inside of here, let's create a file, server.js. And I will select all of this that we just wrote, and I will place it in here. I'll hit save, and then I'll also need to do npm install express. Okay, with that done, we should be able to say node server.js. Okay, I missed something else. What did I miss? Cannot find module express because I typed it wrong. Let's just edit the server here, and at the top, let's actually spell that correctly. And now let's run it again. Okay, cannot read property for each of undefined. That's because we need to actually make our projects directory. And then inside projects, I'll just put something dumb again. I'll make a directory called test. Inside test, I'll make an index.html, and I'll just put hello world. This is the test folder. That's the most beautiful HTML you'll ever see. So now let's go back and let's try running the server again. And it says server is running. Let's see what happens when I load this. It says hello world. Now let's see if the magic part works. If I go to /test, it says hello world, this is the test folder. If I say test/users, it'll still say this is the test folder, and that's exactly what we want to be serving single page apps. Okay, so now how do we actually upload our projects to here in like a really quick, easy way? I'll show you one way we can do it. So let's go over here, and I'll just go into this projects directory. You'll see that I have this folder called dist, And in here, again, there's just an index.html. It doesn't really, it just says hello. So I'll go back, and now imagine I'm in some project, and I could type this, ssh root at, let me copy it again because I don't have it. I need to ssh root into here, and I need to run make directory -p in my server projects. We'll call this test. And then after that, again, I need to do this just in case this folder hasn't been made yet. This will just ensure it exists when we run the next command. Then we'll need to scp, which essentially just copies our files over ssh, and we'll scp the dist folder and everything inside of it, and again root at this IP address, and then we will say the same path. So :/server projects test. So let's run that, hit enter, and you'll see it uploaded our index.html. One thing we will have to do is come over here and just reboot our server. And now if we come over here to test in all caps, it says hello. So that's a little bit annoying, right? Like, why would we want to remember how to type that out? So what you can do is just make a function. I made one just like this, and you'll see here I called it personal Netlify, and it takes the first argument as whatever folder path I want the URL to have, and then the second argument is where the actual files are. So we can put this in our zsh.rc, our bash rc, and it will just work. And to show you how cool this is, let's do npx create react app. Let's call it video. All right, once that is complete, let's go into our video folder. Let's do npm run build. And now we can run our command that we just made, personal Netlify. We'll name it video test in the URL, and the folder is the build folder. So create react app outputs your app to the build folder. Let's hit enter, and it's going to upload all of our files. So one thing that I forgot to mention is that we need to slightly tweak this function, and we need to put the -r flag to make it recursively copy all the folders inside of it. For instance, create react app has a build folder, inside that is a static folder, inside that is CSS. So you'll see it's nested how they actually output the files, and we need to handle that. So if we do that and rerun it again, you'll see this time it uploads all of those CSS and JS files. And now once that's complete, we just need to restart our server. Come back over here, and let's actually go to that video test folder. My bad, I put that in wrong. And you'll see now we have a create react app. And again, we can go to /test or /any URL, and it will serve this index.html exactly like it's supposed to. So there's a lot you can do from here. One of the most important next steps would be to actually point this to a domain name and set up Let's Encrypt with Nginx so that it's served over HTTPS. Another one might be to add a firewall rule so this is only accessible internally to your team's network. Another thing that I would consider doing is taking this function that we wrote here that actually uploads to Netlify and automating it a little bit. If you made a little Node.js wrapper command line tool, you could just take the current working directory name and grab the build folder automatically and make it a little more neat, kind of like how Netlify would work. If you guys like this tutorial and you want to see more, maybe you want me to show you how to actually set up Let's Encrypt and add HTTPS or anything else, please let me know in the comments. Thanks.